Ah, jeez. Alright, here we go. Yet again. More building. Try to get 4 lights done and hopefully all 4 will actually live. Unlike the ones from the other night, where we only got most of them to live. I'm going to have to improve on this tape. It's drifting a little bit. I'll make a better jig one day when I no longer need to. Sorry, Greg. I'm going to have to catch up or suffer. Hey there, Alexi. It's Labor Day holiday here for us in Queensland. So I shouldn't actually be doing any work, but I am. I just noticed my poor camera has been knocked. Has it been knocked out? Yeah, whatever. Hey, Micro Mage, Pedro, Moles. Yeah, I'm not really early. It's obviously it's yeah. This kind of defeats the purpose of having a jig if I've got to adjust the tape. I need to use some non-moving type tape. Anyway, well, the key thing here is just get these crucial electronics done. Right, and then the LEDs are like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, I'm a little short on paste. I should have been a little bit more judicious considering I've got 3 more to put down. I'm going to be running out of that paste pretty soon. Unfortunately with these, when they label them like this, you can't tell how far. I mean, you can sort of gauge by the plunger, but there we go. I've only got 2 or 3 shots left, and that'll be the end of it. I just ordered another 200 of these, so looks like I'm going to be busy. Hey, Nuts and Proud, it's been a while. Bonjour. One more. I will happily set you down for one. I've actually got, I think, about 5 left, 5 boards left after this lot, and then I have to wait for the new boards to arrive. gonna see if I can just manage to get this one done without squeezing out any more paste. I think we're good. I mean, there's plenty of paste left on the spudger, but you can't. Yeah. All right. Then we clean up that paste. Yeah, very fresh paste. If you do want one of the ring lights or the USB-C meters and things like that, they're available on the shop. So you don't have to interact with me. Some people that's a bonus. Okay, it's good. We're gonna put that back in its holding slot. Whew. Alright, let's get the bits and pieces required. Get to hear about the verbals. Well, I mean, that's what live chat's for. Okay, get a piece of tester tape. Yes, you guys certainly are the peanut gallery as well. No doubt about that. Bunch of nuts. I mean, after all, instead of doing something productive with your day, you're sitting here watching me try to do something productive with my day. Like, separate this tester tape. Aha, aha, I gotcha. Yes, no, yes, yes. Yes, no. There we go. Hey there, Pro Engineer. You can put in /shop and it will take you to the shop now. Sorry, it's in the description of this live stream, but obviously that doesn't come up for everybody. Thank you, Pedro. Finally, Pedro's useful. Oh geez, I just realized my vacuum pump's been running this whole time. As in days. Good thing it's designed to run like that, being an aquarium pump of all things. Alright. Yep, we're good. Hey there, Mikey. Someone's a Viva La Dirt fan. Nice day from Electronics there. Who? Oh, thank you very much, Alexi. Gran. Now I'll have to actually go and find that order and fulfill it. I've just mashed up all the pads on that LED controller. That there was the technically correct way to change the orientation on a part. You just grab it and drop it, grab it and drop it, grab it and drop it until it's the way you want it. What? DigiKeys added dark mode? Seriously? Why? Got enough dark mode in the world. One done. Next. Seems like I spend more time fighting with this tape. Non-retina destroying. You know you're supposed to have reasonable ambient light in your life. Thank goodness for the fact that when you reflow these things, they pull them back into orientation, because otherwise these LED lights would look terrible. John L. Sorry, a little slow on catching up on the chat, even though there's very little chat going on. Sort of consequence of trying to pay attention to what I'm doing. Oh wow, that's so bad. Not having the best of luck with placing the LED controller today. Oops. Where'd they go? There they are. Hey, there's Jim here. Hey there, Jim. Right. Ow. You notice if I don't talk too much, then I actually get through this at a reasonable pace. Hey, Electro Rip. As usual, verify that the orientation's right before starting on the pick and place. Thank goodness for 3D printing. It made me able to create this little turnstile without too much trouble. The only gripe I've got with 3D printing is it just takes so long to print. I suppose that's where you pay the money to get something that goes a lot faster. Like I think mine runs at, what is it, 150 millimeter a second is its typical speed. I can go up to the S1 Pro and I get 200 millimeters, and then I see there's some other fancy ones that go up higher. But yeah, just the crazy amount of time it takes to print them. Like it takes an hour to print the ring light adapter. More yeah. Perfect. Change your layer height. What? Big nozzle helps too. What? Oh, right. You mean with the 3D printing. But I dare say inevitably, though, my quality would then subsequently suffer. I mean, I'm using the recommended levels for the work I'm doing. Yeah, Miles, you don't really find that kind of stuff for Element 14 much. It's hard getting even paste from them. They've seemed to be cutting down their range a little bit, which is a bit concerning to me on many things. Most things that I normally would go for, they're all now listed as out of stock or no longer. Yeah, it's like I said, it's a bit of a worry. Depends on how you tune it. Yeah, I suppose. I'm using the sort of the 0.4 nozzle with whatever the standards are for things like I'm using the Prusa slicer, and I just select PETG and let it do its thing. I don't like to meddle too much off the standard. I sort of figured I'm lucky enough to have a somewhat standard printer, the Ender V3, and using standard. Basically, I figure that someone else has worked out most of the nuances, and whatever the default values are probably pretty good. I should pick that one up right the first time. These caps that I have around the 7805 are, for the most part, redundant, vestigial caps. I don't really need them. The 7805 is a very robust regulator. But I put them there anyway, just in case. Oops. Alrighty, that is the pick and place phase done. This time I'll turn off the vacuum pump. Okay, it's disabled. I just realised I've got to turn this down. I set it up to 230 or 225 last night because I had to get parts off with, they were using SAC 305 solder. Okay. And SAC 305 definitely takes a little more heat to get off. What? 3 a.m. No, it's 3 p.m. here. Yeah. The first ramp up, of course, is going to be slow, but the subsequent ones are going to be pretty quick. We've got our transfer base here, and I've even already done the ring light adapters. They're ready to roll. Just need a couple of heat sinks. Oh, better turn on the extractor. Just in time too. By the way, my exploding controller video from the other night, I put out a little short version of it for YouTube Shorts. It just went over 9,000 views. Clearly people like destructive, explosive things. Hey WCR, yes, Labor Day here. Miles, it's a mystery what I've done to myself. Become the mystery man. Yeah, I should put a Dragon Ball Z logo on it or something. Over 9,000. That's good enough. Just gonna tap this down. Hello, what's going on there? Why, you just aren't sitting in there properly at all. These couple are going to be already sold. There'll be about 2 or 3 that will be available for stock. Bugger. Just noticed that controller is way off. I'll obviously have to rework that sucker. This is the downside of using the heat plate, is that when you transfer it off, it's actually still liquid. Now fortunately, because I'm not working with BGA gear, it's not a big problem. But if there were BGA parts on there, I wouldn't want to be doing that. What in heaven's name? There we go. doesn't take long for these ones to, the subsequent ones, because the plate's already pretty hot and it's been an aluminium substrate, so it's definitely very quick to heat everything up. Hello, Shisolium. Yeah, this is 183 leaded. Standard 6730, 6337. Yeah, that's not sitting down. I have not done a good job with these ones. Oh, that was dumb. So I'm gonna have to let that pull it back in. I'm gonna have to check the bases of these DC jacks because they're these are really not sitting down properly, this particular batch. I do have a keying hole in there. It's like the legs they're a bit springy. Like when you used to get dip chips and you'd have to bend the legs back before you could even put them into the board or a socket. I feel like I've got a bunch of rework to do on these ones. It happens sometimes. No, well, it's all the. Oh, I know what you mean. The plastic key that protrudes through the board, the actual plastic key on the foot. I don't know. Yeah, well. I didn't really feel it when I was installing them, but it certainly showed up when I tried to reflow them. I'll have a double inspection of that later. But it is a 1.6, what do you call it? These are 1.6 boards. I'd understand more if it was like a 1mm or whatever aluminium board, but no, the 1.6. Oh well. Like I say, we'll just work with it. I might just. No, they're definitely. I don't know. That's just weird. Alright, now it's time to inspect and rework. I think it's just not sitting flat. Yeah. Ugh, a little bit zoomed in there. Well, that one's fine. Bit of excess on that side. That could have been a little straighter, but it's still okay. We're just sort of moving more into Lenovo type rework soldering there. Okay, controller seems fine. Check the LEDs. I should check them before I reflow them because we've seen how painful it is to try and replace these LEDs once once you've baked them. Once I set up a proper stenciling jig, the ballage squeeze out, that should stop for the most part. Yeah, I agree that they did look springy, like they'd been bent down or something. I don't know. As soon as I squished them, they sort of came back within reason. Still wasn't great, though. It wasn't perfect, but it was better. That was a big ball. I collect these and grade them and make my own solder balls. Half the problem could be that the reflow is also happening so quickly, really. Normally it's a 5 to 7 minute cycle, and I'm pumping these through in about 60 seconds. I mean, it's not super critical because the board generally is a fairly low density board. We don't have any ultra. I mean, that's the finest pitch on the board. Let's see how that goes. A service specialist. Okay, flashed. I'm actually a little bit apprehensive about firing up the lights. I'm thinking it's going to blow up like the last time. Well, no blow up. That's good. Yeah, that's all good. That one passed the test. Next. So we definitely need to rework that. We've got a bridging going on there. It's a little bit of drift to the side, but not out of, not out of spec. Okay, we've got no contact there, so we're going to have to redo that. Fortunately, these are duplicate pads on the DC jack, so even if one wasn't connected, that's okay because you got two. But I'll still fill that in. But yeah, definitely rework on that. Most likely won't be able to get that to shift, but at least I can clean up the pins. Again, just going through and checking the... Can you get yours signed? What would you like written on it? But yeah, I can do that. I guess the question for me is, what am I going to sign it with? What type of pen? Because, felt tip pens are going to wash off. Well, in fact, most pens will wash off. Even my pink and white paint pens will. I'm just sort of thinking long term for you. Cat hair. No matter where I go, there they are. Silver paint pen. Is that gonna even... I'd have to do it on this side. Not sure. With silver paint pen though, this is aluminium substrate, so I could sign on this side, and then you can see it when it's upright. I'll experiment on a couple of others before committing to yours. Alright, so we've got to rework that and fix up that. Okay, hot air. Too bad, cat hair's gone. Esports, it's a ring light for a microscope, which is basically what we're using right now to look at what we're building. Now we have to do this in a couple of stages. First I have to tack down enough solder to fillet it in. And then I'm going to bring in the actual assistive heat so that it will actually reflow. Because right now this is not going to reflow. I just need to get the solder itself down there. Okay, and there. So that's a J5 cents quality solder connection, but we want to do better than that. So a little bit of flux. And bring in some assistive heat. Hey Shad, thank you for the 2. Favorite cam girl, what the... Gee whiz, way to make me question my masculinity. So the hot air in this case is running at 230 Celsius, which is obviously not enough to do anything realistically. But what it does is it heats up the aluminium substrate so that when I apply the iron, it actually will hopefully... I might have to actually go higher. Yeah, I'm going to have to go higher. But that ain't going anywhere. Okay, 250. Molotow paints pens, you can get Evercolor and find. Okay, I'll have a look at those. Does Officeworks stock them by chance? What the hell's going on with these? The solder's flowing, but it's not wicking. So there's a contaminant or something. Right, yeah, I've got the POSCO ones. Yeah. Well, I've never had to pre-tin them before, so I can only imagine maybe I... There we go. Wow, this is... You don't realise how good the aluminium is at stealing the heat until you need the heat. I'm being a little bit cautious with the temperature of the hot air because I don't want the jack to melt. Definitely something on that. And strangely enough, it's perfectly... Where is it? Flux. I'm gonna guess that maybe I had these jacks exposed to something in the past. Yeah, so that's better. Because that is definitely not a standard kind of behavior that I would expect. I'm going to flux these up again after I've deoxidized. Crikey. It's almost like I would have been better off putting it back on the heat plate, taking it off and just getting fresh ones again. Trying another set of fresh ones. Oh, they've come good now. Obviously it needs a wash. No, there's no salt water around here, so yeah, like I said, it's leaving me a little bit perplexed. Anyway, we've got to clean up this now. And for this, it's going to be even more painful because it's on the side of the cap, which means I can only use the micro pencil. Fluxible, yeah, maybe. Like I say, I mean, all the others I haven't had any trouble with, so it happening on this one is just a little weird. I'll be honest, I'm actually a little bit worried about this. A little bit worried that maybe that's shifted down a little bit too far. Not left to right, but top to bottom rather. I'm thinking I might hot plate that one, just to get that to sit back. Yeah, I'm gonna hot plate that one to sit back. Work on the other ones first. See, that's not so bad. See, it's balanced. Okay, it's bridged, but it's balanced, so that's fine. got to be something in my workshop or something with the components. I kept them in a box because, see that? That's also done the same. And these were kept in the same box. Geez, even the tiny didn't quite go. Something's going on here. How is the hot plate? Oh, the hot plate seems fine. It's doing its job. It's just like, yeah, it's like there's an oxidation layer on the parts. Still, this is why we do inspection. Good to catch it now before you ship it off to someone across the other side of the world and they get a dud. It's definitely not what you want to do. It's a good way to get bad reviews. Fortunately, at least, all parts are generally qualified for dual reheat. Sorry, not dual reheat, dual reflow. So I can flux it up, stick it back on the hot plate, jiggle them around, and I should be fine. They're not going to all of a sudden go, that's it, we've had our one reheat, we're not doing that again. Now the painful trick here is I cannot clearly see what I'm doing because I can't bring the microscope in. I can't get enough, there's not enough height for me to see. So I'm basically going to have to put on my glasses and hope for the best. The only thing I don't like about the aluminium substrate boards is the rework process is such a pain. Almost to the point where you just sort of you don't want to do it. You go, oh, I'll just build another one another day. So we're up to 150, we're starting to smoke off that flux. $170, we should be starting to get some early melts. not quite how I wanted this to go. So this one here, we've got to get the, what do you call it, the LED regulator back under control. Otherwise we could end up with the situation we had the other night where everything just catches on fire. I would like to get a heater top like this, but only in like low profile, so the controller's separate or whatever. I haven't seen a small one. Yeah, I'm going to assume that's done its job. Hey JP. Yeah, Miles, that's... You don't get too many board holders that can be that low profile. I mean, I suppose if I was being really ingenious, I could just simply split it apart, like take the top off, run the cables off to the side, but I'd rather not. Yeah, I'd rather it just be already made like that. This here is the fourth one. We haven't inspected this one yet. So while we're waiting for the others to cool down, we'll inspect this one. Okay, immediately we see a bridge, but otherwise it's fine. We'll clean that bridge up. That's easy. That's sitting down properly. This one's fine. It's aligned. Yeah, that's just bizarre. But it does happen. Yeah, you get gas contaminants somewhere. Maybe I tooted near the box and caused contamination. Sorry, a bit twitchy and glitchy here. It's the silicon mats fault. It keeps snaring on the aluminium. Alright, so we just need to take that bridge and that's it. That's good. The other reason why I'm fairly cautious with the hot air, I don't want to do hot air rework, is because it can affect the LEDs if you get it wrong. There we are, perfect. Very nice. Hey there, full wave. Okay. Should be able to program this one. Yep, that's all good. Test it. Okay, no explosions. Okay, good. Marvelous. Alright, now we've got to look at our trash. Ah, what a mess. Look at that, it's even like copperized or something. I don't know. Yeah, you can see copper coming off that side too. Just give it a bit of a warm up and clean the flux off. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the brightness of it, like I said. And the nice thing is I generally don't run it more than about 80% brightness, so which is good for the longevity. I mean, that's what you want. You pay that sort of money for a tool like this, you want it to last. Oh, we still got the bridge on that one, damn it. Okay, just clean that up and then we'll attack that. I might have to use the electric toothbrush. But at least it has centered itself properly now, which was good. What EDA? Oh, I'm still using Eagle 7.7. It's the last version that you could get where it wasn't subscription based. And then of course Autodesk came along and grabbed it, and that was the end of that. Dave wouldn't coax me into Altium because he knows I'm not a professional. And you got to be a professional to use things like that. I'm just a hack. To put it in an analogy sense, the work I do here is akin to Dave Jones if he uses Visual Basic for writing software. So yeah, that's the equivalence. Me, with my talents with the design of electronics, is like people programming with Visual Basic. And that's why he won't convert me to Altium. Realistically though, at some point I've got to change over probably to KiCad. As much as I don't really want to, it is still suffering, in my opinion, with some usability issues. Yeah, once you get to know it, fine. It's my big gripe I have with a lot of people when it comes to open source. I have lots of arguments. People say open source should win and all that sort of stuff, and it's like it should, but the problem is that with open source, it's written by people who want to just solve a problem, scratch the itch, whatever. And once that's solved, that's pretty much the end of the development. And so there's no point developing it anymore unless you're going to do something, I don't know, commercial with it. And so for the most part, that's why a lot of open source software is just sort of 80 or 90% good, but then it has user interface issues or consistency issues and things like that, because that's the kind of stuff that you do if you don't have anything else to do in your life. Which is why I did it with Flexboard View. Okay, there, have I got a problem? It's not coming down in brightness. And I know why that probably is. That will be that AVR leg that we couldn't get to sit down. So I mean, I don't have a problem with open source. I mean, I release a lot of software myself. under open source. I'm a big open source contributor. I've been doing it for over 30 years now, before it was even called open source. But at the same time, I also understand the mentality behind open source and why it has this, why it has this issue where it doesn't quite have the polish of commercial, and it's because polishing software is boring. If you're a software developer, you're like, oh, yeah, I'll leave that to someone else. You go, oh no, I'll make it open source and someone out there will do it for me. It doesn't work like that. Keys, you're just saying that because you funded my development of your software. That is the one way to get open source the way you want it, is you start throwing money at people for it. You go, look, you need to, I want you to hit these goals with the source, and here's some money to do it. So you need someone with a bit of a give it away type mentality, who's willing to front up the cash for it to be done. And then, you can get some more polish into it. We've paid for project maintainers to add things. Yeah, that's it. You get to the point where you have to start paying people to add or take away things or polish up stuff. It's just the way it is. Okay, that's a nice working board. I've had a bank send me a very nice chunk of money at one point to add one tiny little feature to my software, and it was open source software. They could have done it themselves, and it was BSD license too as a extra. So yeah, and they said, look, we want this, can you please add it, and here you go, here's a nice figure for you to do it. I was like, sure. Yeah, the motivation is the big thing. I think where it's also hard sometimes though with open source, particularly if you're trying to motivate the original developer, money in itself isn't always the key. Some developers are just like, you know what, I'm done with that project. I don't really want to deal with it anymore. Objective achieved, I've moved on, and I don't want to see that ever again. And so money can fall flat in terms of trying to motivate. But you might be able to motivate someone else to do it instead. Miles, yes, you bring up another excellent point. If it's a wow, look at that shitty solder job there. Yeah, that's going to have to be fixed up. If you're dealing with a multi-person situation, trying to get everybody on the same page with what you're going to do is just downright near impossible. Life gets in the way too of life. Yep. That's why, well, I think a good example was with Open Board View. We got to the point where we were starting to trying to add some nice little trim, bling bling bits, and it took forever to just simply decide on things like the color of the logo and whatever, and it was just a big fat waste of time. The other issue is, people get stuck on things that really they shouldn't be getting stuck on. Oh, what is going on here? Yeah, Miles, that's right, yeah. I think that is actually a really nice thing about the whole GitHub situation, is that you can always fork, and really easily fork. And if you feel like you've got what it takes to make it truly a great product, then assuming the license permits it, out you go and do it. Definitely not the greatest of soldering. There's definitely some sort of oxidation going on, but it's secure. At some point you have to go, there's no point trying to reheat and resolder that 1,000 times more to get the perfect wicking over those pads. What was more important in this case was to get that controller to be nicely aligned, which it is now. Yeah, Q's, that was a fun one because we had to basically disable the meter's normal beep, but then invoke it and invoke it quickly enough in a sufficiently non-irritating way to simulate what you wanted the meter to do. Yeah. I do wish there was a way for us to still have access to the front panel of the meters once you engage them with the program, what do you call it, when you connect talking to them. The fact that you can't even voluntarily reactivate the front panel is a real nuisance to me. I mean, we get around it by, as you know, we have the keyboard hotkeys, but it would still be nice, particularly if the computer is off somewhere else and it's just a logging computer. It'd be nice to be able to still control the front panel. Let's see, right, programming. Are you going to produce these yourself? I am producing them myself. Okay, flashed and good. Yeah, the couple of versions that did it, that was because it was almost like it was a bug. It wasn't actually meant to be. That would have been when it was flickering the display or something really quickly. So you gained one thing, but you lost another. Okay, that's good. So that was the problem. Alright, time to build them up. Let's see, where's my screws? And after I've done this, 4 o'clock now, good timing. After I've done this, I've got to go out to the cat house and install some more wall sheeting. This has taken, yet again, a bit longer because of the surface oxidation issues we had there, but no, we fixed them up. They're all working now, but it did slow us down, unfortunately. And that is the reality of doing your own manufacturing. Yeah, you don't quite have the tightly controlled environment that an existing commercial entity will have. Oh yeah, the thermal camera, I really do want to get onto that. I just don't have the spare cash right now to start investing into that. It's surprisingly how quickly you'll burn through cash doing those sort of projects, particularly something where, like that Lepton core, what is that? That's $200-300 a Lepton core now. And you know one way or another you're going to accidentally do something bad to that Lepton core and you're going to have to start again. I've got to get myself a wider diameter version with this tip. These Wera drivers are great, but they're not meant for high torque situations. It's probably to stop people breaking their machines by over torquing them. Mind you, you will get people who will decide, oh, I can put a pair of pliers around this hex end of the driver and she'll be right, mate. Torque it down more. Okay. We need some more heat sinks. What do we need? 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll probably, yeah, I mean, yeah, China still is producing a fair bit, but I definitely think for the moment I'm still going to stick with something like the Fluor ones. I really should do a test to see how this goes now if I don't put the heatsink on it. My main concern is the actual control circuitry will get a bit hot. Because the heatsink, yeah, it sits over the regulator, and the regulator should be fine. Overall, these boards, they shouldn't be getting too much higher than 65 Celsius, even when on full heat. 65, 70, I'm guessing. So you still got a solid 30 Celsius. What? Optimizing code? That's... You're never supposed to optimize code. First rule of optimization, don't. Yeah, it's always fun. Yeah, oh, I'm going to save myself a few thousand cycles on this section. And you do it, and months later someone goes, this doesn't work properly anymore. I'm being obviously very general there, but yeah, it's usually the first rule of optimization is don't. And then maybe consider it. And it's fairly true. I mean, unless there's a direct drop-in solution, like if you're using bobble sort or shell sort for something reasonable, then yeah, change to quick sort, if nothing else. But yeah, optimization can bring about frustrating quirks that you don't find until later. It's a path for only the very brave. Premature often. For me, with Flexible View, most of the optimization was pre-computing stuff. Pre-computing the outlines and choosing the colors and all that sort of stuff rather than doing that on the fly. Which originally wasn't a problem because there was very little stuff to pre-compute, stuff to work out, when it was just drawing little circles for the pads. But as you move up in the realism, as it were, of the parts, the rendering of the parts, you sort of have to start pre-computing a lot of things. Otherwise it becomes prohibitively computationally expensive. And I noticed finally after, let's see, I think it was 2017 I asked for it, so about 6 or 7 years now, the graphics toolkit that I'm using, ImGUI, they finally produced or installed a concave fill routine. It was something I asked about many eons ago. Anyway, yeah, so they finally got the concave fill routine, but I've already implemented my own scanline based routine. And while theirs, because it uses triangulation, tessellation rather, may be quicker, the problem that I found with theirs is that it won't do holes properly. So it's back to the scanline algorithm for me, because I have to do holes properly. Hey there, Keith. Okay, we've got a little bit of dross up here or something, just inhibiting the sit down. Yep. And you might think, well, there's not too many holes in motherboards, but you'd be surprised, there's a good number of boards out there that do have holes in them. Anyway, so of all the computations, the board fill algorithm is the one that takes up about the most processing power for me. Maybe later they will actually update the one that they have to handle holes as well. But holes are a tricky thing because you have to actually define how you're going to define holes. Typically what we do is if you're running a series of points for the board, then when you go clockwise it's 1, and then if you want to define a hole you go anti-clockwise and then back to clockwise, things like that. At least though with the scanline algorithm that I use, it doesn't really matter because it just goes by segments. Anyway. Right, that's another one done. That's 3. One more. Oh wait, didn't put the heatsink on that sucker. Oh, thank you, Q's. Yeah, there was definitely a lot of work that was done in Open Board View. A lot of work. It strained quite a few things on this side of the camera. You know, it was very difficult to justify the work I was doing on it because, you know, I wasn't getting any money for it from Open Board View. But I was gaining notoriety, I suppose, through Lewis Rossman at the time. And yeah, it built a platform for me to be able to then go, you know, I think I can do the schematic integration with the PDFs. So I threw a few more weeks, months into that. Luckily, it worked out for me. It did upset a few people, but end of the day, it certainly was all above board and legal. And yeah, 80% of that code base is actually what I've written anyway. So if you go back to the original source code of Open Board View, the very first release, and run it, it's quite a change. But there is a video of Lewis demonstrating it originally when it came out. And then of course I commandeered it. And what happened is sort of the thing that fuels people to use or promote the GPL license. Because they're like, see, that's what can happen. You put all that work into it and someone comes along, forks the project, goes commercial with it, shuts the door, and you don't see a cent. Realistically, that kind of thing happens with GPL anyway, but you just... And even if you know it, good luck getting the money to take it to court. Oops. I certainly didn't feel guilty about it at all because I knew how much work I had put into it. I did try contacting, what do you call it, Chlorodite a few times, but never heard back from him. Miles, that's actually a pretty good thing to say. Yeah, and you're quite right about that. Yeah, it's not like you're trying to rip off anybody or anything like that. Like I said, it was all very much above board legally. I understand the sentiment, but I figured after decades of doing open source and with the MIT BSD type licenses, I figured I could probably cash this one in. Alright, we are done. Alright, all I've got to do is sign one of them and send that off to Alexi. Alright then, it's 20 past 4. I got to get outside while I've still got some light. Start using the electric circular saw and all sorts of other fun things. Changing my hats, going from being an electronics builder to a cat house builder. Alright, thank you all for watching. See you all next time. Until then, you'll take care. I'll see you later.